Hey everybody, this is Jeff Antoniuk. Welcome to the Advanced Jazz Learning Techniques series. This is video number 4. Glad to have you with me. We always live stream these on Facebook. I just like the idea of doing it live. There's no editing. There's no fancy post-production. I just want this to be very immediate. If I screw up, that's like jazz, right? It happens in the moment. So you can always see these videos and all the preceding videos at the YouTube channel, which is Jeff Antoniuk Educator. If you go to Jeff Antoniuk, there's some gig videos on there, but Jeff Antoniuk Educator is where you can find all the videos. Well, I have something that's very important to talk about today, this idea of unaccompanied playing, how I think it's so valuable and so valuable and so underused by so many people. We'll get to that in a second. The last video, I hope you checked it out, 50-50 practice, another very, very powerful idea. At the beginning of the video, I was talking to teachers, and this video series really is meant to be for teachers, although there's plenty here for players too, of course. So what I was talking to teachers about is this idea of I want to transform my students. That's my goal when I teach. And of course, I use all these great pedagogical ideas, everything I've learned over 30 years. But I was talking about this strange idea of how you measure your success as a teacher. And I got some very interesting comments back, and I've had some great conversations with people. So with this series, I love showing some of these cool pedagogical ideas that I know work and get a ton of traction for people. Most of these aren't things that I've invented. They're things I've picked up and learned and gleaned and trial and error and everything else. But that's not really what this series is about, cool pedagogical ideas. We can find ways to practice other places. I'm glad you like the stuff we're talking about. But I think the biggest difference I can make with these videos is to introduce a new platform for teachers, like a really big paradigm shift of how to teach. And down to who are you teaching? Who are your students? Do you teach high school kids? I teach adults. That's where I've sort of landed and the folks that I work with. And I've developed a business around that. What do your students value? Why do they keep coming back? And so I know a lot about working with adult students, and that there is nobody in the marketplace talking to them like they exist. Everything is for kids, or everything's for college students, or when there is something for adult students, it's like this 8-week thing where there's probably kids sitting in on the side anyway. Nothing wrong with kids. I used to be a kid. I have a kid. But you get the idea. The marketplace is not talking to adults. It drives me nuts. So as teachers, we have to think about our students and why they are there and what would make them come back. Yes, cool teaching ideas are part of it. That is not, you're kidding yourself if you think that just because you have a cool way to talk about how to learn a tune, that's going to change someone's life, right? So you get what we're talking about here. So it's a pretty maverick approach, I think might be the way to put it, is questioning these things. The last thing, I'll give you a little analogy and we'll move on to the practice stuff. But if you think about the iPhone, when the iPhone first came out, or smartphones in general, people used to just want to make a phone call and get a text, and if that worked okay, they're in. That's what they needed, right? And then the iPhone came along and it totally redefined what a telephone was. No one even knew that that was possible, right? That paradigm shift, that there were apps, and that your phone, instead of being 2 things, phone, text, it could be 10,000 things. You could personalize it. You could listen to music. Was the iPhone, I use iPhones, but they're not, I don't think they're even the best phones probably, right? But you get the idea, that shift, that the iPhone came along and said, whatever you thought a phone was, it's not that. And how rich that made our lives, and also how busy. But you get the idea, right? That is what I'm talking about here, a shift like that, thinking about how we're teaching, who we're teaching. And I would love to talk with you personally about that. Send me an email at jeffantoniuk@gmail.com. And I'm training folks to work in this way. It's fabulously fulfilling. It's more creative than any teaching I've ever done. It's a great business. Musicians are terrible business people. 99 out of 100 musicians, teachers. And we just sort of go through the same routine. There's another way to do it. So that's what I wanted to sort of fill in from the last video, and I appreciate you sticking with me. So let's talk about this idea of unaccompanied playing. So now it's literally that, playing alone. Okay, we all play alone, right? But let's dig into this a little bit deeper. And now, some of the playing you'll hear me do coming up, Cadenza kind of stuff, or really trying to do a solo saxophone performance. Here's the thing. I don't like that for myself. I'm not comfortable doing that. If you've heard me play my last 100 gigs, I don't know that you've heard a cadenza from me. So I'm not trying to turn you into like a Chris Potter solo saxophone, just all that awesome stuff he and so many others do. This is about a process, not about a goal. So I practice this kind of stuff because it helps me as a player. But it's not that I'm necessarily going to go out and play this way. And as I say, I'm uncomfortable doing it. And for me doing this in front of you guys, I feel pretty vulnerable because I don't think it's a strength. But I know it makes me better. So that's why we're talking about it. So if you're thinking, well, I'm never going to play cadenza, I don't need to do this stuff. Exactly wrong. You need to practice this stuff because the process of practicing it, if you never do it in public once, is going to make you so much better. Okay, the other thing I'm going to say, this is for all instruments. I play saxophone, but this is for any instrument. Now, if you're a piano player or a guitar player, some sort of harmonic player, you should do this too. Here's the thing, you don't get to use harmony. So whatever instrument you play, you're going to do this with single lines, right? Just one melody. And the idea is, it gets around to, can we imply the harmony with melody? And the best example I can think of is the Bach cello suites, or any solo piece along those lines, where you can hear the harmony going by, but there is no harmony. It's a single line, right? So how do we imply the harmony? So, unaccompanied playing. So here we go. So, now this is not even improvising. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit of Confirmation, a song I haven't played in a long time, and just this morning I tried to dust it off, so I hope I don't mess it up too much. So I'm going to play the melody to Confirmation, and what I'm judging myself on, am I playing with good time, accuracy of the notes, my tone, all that kind of stuff. So if I were on stage at Carnegie Hall playing solo saxophone, just the melody to Confirmation, can I pull it off? And there's so many things we need to think about. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So I'll stop right there. So, a couple things that weren't perfect, but I can't tell you how many thousand times I've played that melody over the years to get it there. So play melodies unaccompanied, no I real B, no Abersolds, no play along, backing tracks, none of that. You create everything. This makes you an amazingly strong player. You're not waiting for the other guy to come in at the bridge. You're not depending on the drummer to give you the time. You show up doing everything. And now imagine if everybody in the band shows up at that level, right? So that's where a great group happens. And that's where all your favorite players, they do this kind of stuff. They can do this kind of stuff. So that's simple. Practice those melodies, but practice them unaccompanied, sometimes with a metronome, but I'd love for you to do it without, and see if you can keep your time, right? Keep the groove, make it swing, all that. So it's the simplest thing in the world, but most people don't take it to that concert level. Me and my instrument, let's go. So that's the first thing I'd say. So now let's say soloing over Confirmation. So again, I want good time, good groove, and all that stuff. But now, can I solo over this tune so that you can hear the changes? In other words, I'm trying to play a solo that has Bach-like clarity. So I'll just start blowing on Confirmation. And if you know the changes, you should be able to hear that coming out. Pardon me. If you don't know the changes, you should hear the shapes inside my line, whether you know what they are or not. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, there were some, little things in there I didn't love, times I felt getting behind the time. But if you do that every day for 15 or 20 minutes, pick a tune and play through it. And you're going to find the hard parts or where you're just not being clear. For instance, the first 3 measures of confirmation are F major, then a 2-5 to D minor. So the major chord going to the relative minor. So frankly, you could play diatonically through that. You could just play one scale through those first 3 measures. I could play and with a good piano player behind me, that would actually kind of sound good. But it didn't sound like anything when I played it for you. It sounded like I was playing up and down an F major scale, right? So that sort of idea, what do you have to do to have the listener know, I'm in major now, I'm transitioning, now I'm in minor? Those first 3 measures. So did you hear that it went somewhere, that it went from F major to D minor? Now, if you can't hear F major to D minor, did you hear a change? That's why they're called chord changes. And so I've played those 9 beats thousands of times, trying to figure out, well, how do I do this? What should I do? What shouldn't I do? Is there one note that gets me there? Are there 10 notes? So you get the idea. That's what I want you to practice. So that ability to play the changes so that it is clear, clear, clear with no accompaniment. So now you can imagine when you get a great rhythm section behind you, how free you are, but oh my God, how free they are. They're playing with somebody that they're not having to drag through the mud. They're playing with somebody who's an equal or frankly a team leader, right? So that's what this is getting us. So let me give you one last little idea. And this is getting to be more sort of cadenza-like, let's say. So I'm going to play Stella by Starlight, one of my favorite tunes. I never get sick of it. And now I'm going to play this tune out of time. And the question is, again, how can I let you know where I am in the song? So if I play the first little bit. Well, I didn't mean to play through the whole tune, but got started. So, again, is that Chris Potter level? No, but that's not what I'm trying to get out of it. I'm trying to figure out how can I nail these changes. And what does it take to feel around the melody? What is the melody? The first 50 times I tried to play, did my fill, and then it's like, I can't remember where the melody is. I got myself lost, right? There's so much you're going to get from this. You will never know a melody better than when you do this kind of playing. And you're going to have to figure out, for instance, first measure, E half diminished, going to A7 flat 9, the first 2 measures, right? Here's the thing, my note holds across. There was a chord change there. But unaccompanied, we don't hear that. So what can I do to make you hear that chord change? These are the questions. Maybe heard a chord change there. So all I did, I played the melody. I did the simplest thing in the world. I arpeggiated down the E half diminished chord, and then when I wanted you to hear the chord change, I left the E half diminished chord and picked a really good note on the A7. I'm not going to tell you what the really good note is, though. That's for another time. So that's the kind of stuff you're going to discover. And yeah, I could write it out. I could, you know, it's the third to seventh. There you go. You got it out of me. But this is for you to discover. And the cool thing is you're going to discover a different way to do it than me. All my exercises allow you to develop your voice. I'm happy to tell you what I do, and I love that people appreciate it and are asking me what I'm doing. Beautiful. But more important to me as a teacher is that I help you find your way. I help you find what you're hearing or develop what you're hearing. Okay? So here's one other thing I did in there. This is one of the best ways if you're starting this and aren't quite sure how to get the sound of these chords. Arpeggios, of course, are great. That's the closest thing I can come to playing the piano on the saxophone. Here's a very cool sound stolen right from Bach Cello Suite No. 1. That line we've all heard. 1, 5, 10. Or 1, 5, the third an octave up. So that's a triad, taking the third up an octave. 1, 5, 3 up there. So do this. Play through Stella by Starlight, playing 1, 5, 3 through the changes. My reed's giving out. So you can hear those chord changes coming out. It gets us playing those wide intervals, and there's so much you can do with that. Another nice one, so that was 1, 5, 3. How about 1, flat 7, 3? There's plenty of them. May mess one of those up, but you get the idea. Getting the sound out of these songs, being able to play a melody that has the harmony in it. So that's why earlier I said guitar players, piano players, do not comp for yourself. I want this to all be implied in your solo line. So that is sort of the long and short of it for this unaccompanied playing thing. We all play by ourselves most of the time probably, but this is a whole nother level of playing by yourself. What you're asking of yourself and understanding what your goals are. Most of us play by ourselves because there's nobody else in the room. Well, I guess I better practice, right? No. This is consciously playing by yourself, unaccompanied, like you are on stage. And again, like I said, my disclaimer is this isn't my favorite way to play. There are people that do this so much better than me, but my process of practicing this way every day helps me learn these songs so much better. All right, I hope that's helpful to you. In case you don't know, we have a booklet that goes along with the Advanced Jazz Learning Techniques series, and I'd be happy to send this to you. There's essentially little discussion sheets on each one of the 10 videos, and this will help you get deeper into the information. I really appreciate you checking out these videos, and of course, we sit on YouTube and just hit the next video and listen to the next thing. I would love it if you dug a little deeper into this stuff. I don't want this to be a passive thing where you sit and listen, maybe get inspired a bit and whatever. I would rather that you sit and listen, get inspired, and now go do something about it. So these sheets will help you. So send me an email, jeffantoniuk@gmail.com. You can hit me on Facebook Messenger. I'd be happy to send you this information. And I really want to be talking to teachers out there. And I hope maybe I'm sort of, shaking some things loose or just letting you know there's another way to do it, that you can grow your business. Your business could be entirely different than what you think it could be. And I'm talking about if you're working too much, if you're working too little, if you're not making enough money, if the teaching isn't creative or fulfilling anymore, if the students you're working with are not doing it for you. We can fix this stuff. There's a way to do it and make everybody happy and moving ahead. So you can also check out jazzteachertraining.com, and that'll give you more information there. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Go to Jeff Antoniuk Educator at YouTube. I hope you subscribe. There are many more videos coming. And again, thanks for your time. Thanks for your interest. I love all the comments and compliments and rebuttals and everything else. I love it. Take care. Thanks a lot.